Welcome back to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. If you're looking for a great way to display your school's school records for all the teams, for all the events, or if you want a unique way to display your school's Hall of Fame, you need to get in touch with the folks at Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com to get started. Let them help you showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments. Shoot them an email at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards not only raise money for your department, but they create the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and see exactly what their fantastic products can do for you. We've got a Sideline Interactive indoor scoring table in our gym, and it's just fantastic. You really need to check it out. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to thank Final Forms, the industry leader in registration. But Final Forms is more than that. Final Forms can help your stakeholders with things like mobile accessibility, and they have reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, and all the forms that go with athletics. Final Forms can also help your coaches with team communication and attendance, and even help them with their certification management. And for athletic directors, Final Forms can help with eligibilities, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. You know, it's time that you talk to a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps and find out what Final Forms can do for you, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started with Final Forms. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and see how athletic directors are creating custom branded content for their school's social media channels. You can do it in seconds on any device, and you don't need any design experience. It's so easy, even I can do it. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast and use the podcast code ADPOD10. That's ADPOD10 and get 10% off. Gipper will help you create world-class content for your social media channel. Go to Gipper.com and get started. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Hometown helps thousands of schools and organizations across the country provide convenient digital ticketing for their communities, their families, and their fans. Go to hometownticketing.com. They will show you how to sell your tickets online, how to scan the attendees that come to the games, how to collect your revenue, and every step of the way, you're going to have a dedicated client success manager providing hands-on support. Hometown can also show you how to sell tickets for school plays, for choir performances, for dances, even graduation. Sell digital tickets for all types of events. Go to hometownticketing.com and let them show you how you can start selling your tickets digitally. That's hometownticketing.com. We also want to thank Huddle. Go to huddle.com and see how over 200,000 teams are using Huddle to help their athletes perform better using video and analytics. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, and as an athletic director, we were a Huddle school. Our coaches just loved the online tools, the smart cameras. Of course, there was analytics, but there was so much more. Huddle's built for every level of play. If you're a club or a youth coach or a high school, college, or even a pro coach, Huddle can help you and your teams. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including the college coaches of the teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. If you want to find out more about how Huddle can help you and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, At Huddle, we power sports. We also want to thank the good folks at SnapRaise. Go to snapraise.com and see how their fundraising platform can get you away from the fundraising headaches of the past. There's no more selling products or managing lists of inventory. There's no upfront costs. You can track the sales, and what's more, it works. Okay? Choosing the best fundraiser for you and your school is critical, and you can put the SnapRaise digital fundraising difference to work for you. Like I said, it's easy and effective, it's safe and secure, and it works. Our coaches use SnapRaise, and it was just fantastic. Go to their website, snapraise.com, and see the thousands and thousands of dollars that they've raised for schools just like yours. Change your fundraising game plan and start a fundraiser that works for you. Go to snapraise.com and get started raising funds. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. They sponsor the Athletic Director Toolbox segment on our regular podcast. Athletic surveys are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Our schools use surveys for everything, for kids, for coaches, for parents, you name it. And the feedback we got was almost always positive, and it'll be the same for you. But the surveys also allowed that squeaky wheel parent to vent, and sometimes they'd share a small issue that we could take care of and keep it from turning into a big issue because we didn't know about it because we didn't do a survey. You've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Go to athleticsurveys.com or shoot them an email at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. They can be the difference between good and great. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got a good friend on. She's been a guest on our podcast before, very active in our state here in Florida. Our guest today is Destiny Brightman. Destiny is a certified athletic administrator, and she's the director of athletics at Orange Park High School in Orange Park, Florida. Again, it's been a busy summer and start to the school year, but we're excited she's able to take a little breath and spend some time with us. So, Destiny Brightman, welcome to Wednesday Wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I just kind of wanted to let the listeners and know just a little bit about myself. You know, I am originally from Fairborn, a very little small town, and in my junior year of high school, my mother's job transferred us to the Panhandle of Florida. So Florida was somewhere that I never thought or dreamt about living. And in return, I ended up going to school in college at Florida A&M, and I got my bachelor's in health and physical education, my master's in sports and leisure management. And so I always said, you know, people always ask, you know, are you going to do it in educational leadership and become an administrator? I'm like, no, I'm going to be an athletic director. And so last summer, you know, well, prior to last summer, I worked in the school system for, you know, Clay County School Board. I was the head volleyball coach at another school in this county. And but the opportunity presented itself for me to take this position. And after being an assistant athletic director for 3 years, I felt like I was ready to pursue this dream that I'd always had. And so I'm going into my second year of being an athletic director at Orange Park High School. And the fun fact is, when I moved to Jacksonville in 2007, my first job, I moved here to take a job at Orange Park High School. So I kind of just circled right back to where I started, you know, met my first friends and, you know, loved it there, but took a different position. And so that was the reason why I left in 2013. And so I have been super excited with just the opportunity. And I knew that the workload would be, you know, a lot, because it is, as, you know, any type of leadership position that you're in, it's going to be a lot of work, and I anticipated all that. So moving into this fresh second year of being an athletic director, I just kind of took off and just been running since, typically, I mean, pretty much since I had got the job. And so I wanted to speak a little bit about leadership and why it's important. It really in any role, but especially in this role. I feel as if, leadership is something that, you have to just naturally possess. Sure, um, you can always learn a little bit extra, but I've always been a leader, just in general in life. I was never a follower. I've always been a leader. I didn't let, things like sway me in any type of different directions. I just prided myself. I don't know why. I was just blessed with those qualities. And so I do think that being a leader is important when, in this position, I have to exhibit good leadership in order for my coaches to produce good leadership. And so being that example to them is something that I focus hard on. I think that in this job, we set the tone for what could happen. So a positive, I am big on positive energy. I think that leadership possesses, being a positive person. And so I pride myself with trying to give them something positive each day to take away, and starting because I have to set that tone. And just the example of, I guess, from me being a previous coach, then I can relate to them as well. And, how coaches need to respond. So last year, as my first year, I did a lot of work, and that was just to give an example of things that, I kind of expected and just the culture that I was trying to create, but building leaders. And I really feel like, we're turning that curve, and, I can see a big difference this year. And I think a lot of it is a reflection of myself, and how I present myself to those coaches. And so I guess just the fact that I think that it stems from within. I look for, I surround myself with positive energy. And I think that those are all qualities and characteristics of what a good leader would be.
You and I have got a chance to get to know each other a little bit over the last couple of years. And again, our common friend, John Scromolo, is
Yeah.
actually your boss, the county AD there for Clay County. And I know he speaks so highly of you. For our listeners, let's go ahead and take a laser focus. As you came in, you know your way around the world of athletics. You were no rookie. What was something that you saw at Orange Park when you first came on board that you said, wow, this is pretty good, but I think we can do better? Can you put your finger on something and then maybe talk a little bit about how you shared that with your coaches to get them, let's say, on board with that task?
Right. I would just say, like, maybe what I felt like was decent, but we could do better, was just branding our school. Um, from programs to just trying to get, logos out there and being consistent across whether it be through the school, social media. And so branding was huge to me. And if you go and search, like Orange Park High School athletics, you'll start seeing now like all of our different programs, where before I don't think people understood the importance of branding and how people really, really look at that. I have former parents, former players that, follow us on social media, and because of our brand. And when you go through the school, I've ordered different things to put inside of the gym, and, different things to be out there on the fields, from feather flags. And, I've put a big emphasis with the coaches that branding starts with you. So just having the kids being uniformed, if it's game day, everybody is in a jersey. And so that it's a volleyball game. Or, our football team, they now wear shirt and ties, and they're branding their program. Everybody knows it's Friday night, football, because the football team, or Thursday night with our JV because they're in a shirt and tie. And so that was something that I felt like, was important, and was good, but we could do a little bit better. And then we kind of went back to a more simple, when I first was at Orange Park High School, we had our logo was just the interlocking OP. And then over the years, it kind of changed. And so we took it right back to that block interlocking OP. And so just trying to everybody being consistent in branding. And then, we have an athletics hashtag that again, brands athletics for Orange Park. So branding would be, what I feel like we needed changed a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And these days it is so important because of the increased social media presence. That name and that logo is out there. And you certainly want people to identify that with your school. Um, Usually, maybe I'll change that to sometimes. Sometimes when an athletic department is looking to either rebrand back to the original logo or kind of collect, let's talk about rogue coaches that, the basketball coach created his own logo and the softball coach created their own logo. Um, Assuming that there might have been, one or two coaches that might have had a little bit of resistance to going back to a standard school-wide logo, what were some of the ways that you introduced this idea and worked to bring everybody on board? Because it is important to have everybody on board.
It is. And I will say that, being new, you have to be careful with how rip that Band-Aid off. And so we had already discussed, myself and, administration, on what we wanted as far as branding, but it wasn't something that could have been initiated last year as the first year. So we were very, very careful with, started ordering items that we were wearing. And it was just, the brand. And so and I ordered shirts that just said OP Athletics on it, where it was just the OP, and I gave it to all coaches, and so kind of putting that out there to initiate that. And so then this year, finally, at our first thing at our coaches meeting this year was kind of like, hey, listen, we're going to go in this direction now. That didn't change the things. It wasn't that you can't wear any of, your other stuff that you just purchased last year, but if you're going to make purchases this year, this is the route that we're going. We're going to gradually get into this. And I think that it went over very well, because I'll be honest, I had some anxiety about who was going to give some pushback, because, there were most of the perks of being new is that, people did kind of ask like, hey, well, do you mind if I do this? Or, if we can have this. And so I was asked a few times, and, I would be like, no, I don't like that. Or, let's just stick with this. And so it has just been a good transition. And so there wasn't, like much pushback at all. But yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. And again, I know your logos. I'm here in Florida. I've seen your colors. It's very, very cool. It all looks really neat. Okay.
Thank you.
Destiny, I know it's a busy time, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, find out more about how you do things at Orange Park, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Well, first, follow us on social media. I'm on all of those: Orange Park High School Athletics. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. But then you can also email me at destiny.brightman@myoneclay.net. That's probably the easiest way to get me, and I will, within 24 hours, return that email.
All right. Well, again, we appreciate you spending time with us today, and all the best moving forward with the fall schedule.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
For our listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of all our interviews get uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back next Wednesday for more Wednesday wisdom, and just about every day on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Before we give a shout out to our regular podcast sponsors, we want to acknowledge two new partners. First, the Global Community of Women in High School Sports. Jen Brooks, the founder. Jen's the athletic director at the Ursuline Academy in Missouri. And a couple of years ago, about the same time we started the podcast, she created the Global Community of Women in High School Sport. It's a great organization. You need to check it out and become a member. Go to Global Community of Women in Sports.org. Okay. We also want to thank our new partner, We Coach. Jen Fuchs is the CEO, longtime athletic director at Florida State. She's now the leader for We Coach. We Coach is a similar organization, but has been focusing more at the college level. And we are proud to be a partner with them. If you go to wecoachsports.org, you can see all the benefits of becoming a member of that organization. That's wecoachsports.org. Check out the member benefits and all the things that they do, along with the global community of women in high school sports. So thanks as always for listening. And let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Final Forms, the industry leader in registration. As an athletic director, they can help you with communication, with attendance, with eligibility. They can help your coaches. They can help your stakeholders. Go to finalforms.com/Jake for more information. We also want to say thanks to SnapRaise. If you're looking for a fundraising program that works, you need to go to snapraise.com. Our coaches use SnapRaise, and it was just fantastic. As an athletic director, I knew what was going on, but I didn't have to be involved. It's a great, great program, snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents, your coaches, your student athletes, you're really missing out. We use surveys for all of those items at my schools, and the feedback we got was almost always over the top positive. But the survey also allowed that squeaky wheel parent to vent sometimes. And every once in a while, they'd share a minor concern that we could address and keep it from turning into a big concern because we didn't know about it because we hadn't done a survey. Go to athleticsurveys.com or email them at info@athleticsurveys.com for more information. We also want to say thank you to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. If you're looking for a great way to display your school records for all your teams, for all your sports, as well as create a digital Hall of Fame, you need to talk to the folks at Wall of Fame. Their email is, their website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. The backdrop that you're looking at right now is a Gipper template. We use Gipper to promote all of our podcast announcements. You can use it to promote your program. Go to Gipper.com, mention the podcast, and use the podcast code. That's ADPOD10, ADPOD10, and get 10% off. Go to Gipper.com and see how to create world-class content for your school social media channels. We also want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor scoring tables and video boards. We were one of the first schools in Florida to have a Sideline Interactive indoor scoring table, and it's just fantastic. We used it for home games. We used it for pep rallies. We used it for signing ceremonies. It's tremendously versatile, and the customer support is second to none. That's sidelineinteractive.com, or you can email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com for more information. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an athletic director, we were a Huddle school. Our coaches just loved the smart cameras, the technology, the analytics, but there's so much more than that. Go to huddle.com and see about becoming a Huddle school. Okay. Finally, we want to give a shout out again to our new partners, the global community of women in high school sports, and We Coach. Go to wecoachsports.org for more information for the global community. Go to global community of women in sports.org. Oops, I almost forgot Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. They'll show you how to sell your tickets, how to scan your attendees, how to collect your money. And the whole time you have a dedicated customer support person with you. Hometownticketing.com. Simple and easy online ticketing. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next Wednesday on Wednesday Wisdom and just about every day on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.